are some common problems with resumes, and how can I avoid those problems and make my resume pop?
Well, keep in mind, when you're blindly sending a resume, maybe you saw an ad, maybe it's they ran something on Monster, for instance, and you want to submit your resume. It's going to go to somebody, typically it's a HR person, human resources, who's going to look at those resumes. And you're not the only one they're looking at. Chances are there's probably several hundred resumes that have come through. They certainly can't go through several hundred resumes. So one survey that I read said that the average time someone's going to look at your resume when it's blindly submitted in that pile is 8 seconds. Now I can tell you from experience, I can probably tell you in 3 or 4 seconds whether or not this is a resume that I'm going to actually get into and spend a little bit more time. 8 seconds. What can you get out of a resume in 8 seconds? Well, if it's one that's being sent in through a computer, that computer is going to filter out. It's going to look for keywords. It's going to look for where has this person been, what have they done, so that may narrow the field down. But when somebody looks at that resume and spends those 8 seconds, there better be enough that they see right away, that they say, you know what, I want to read this. Because in that 8 seconds, they're not going to get much out of it, but they're going to take 200 and get it down to 20. So is there something in the beginning there? Is it appealing to the eye? How crazy does that sound? It should be appealing. And if it reads like a novel and it's just jammed in and there's no margins, yeah, I'm not going to read that because I don't like even looking at it. It hurts my eyes to look at it. Is it on flowery paper? Unless you're going to be an art teacher, don't put it on flowery paper. One guy told me, you know, I've got my resume here, I'm all set to go. I said, well, how's it look? He says, oh, it's nice. He said, you know what? It's like a powder blue because I went to school in North Carolina. That's like, that's our color. So I went with the color of my school. And I said, that's not a good idea. They don't care where you went to school as far as the color of your resume paper. White. It needs to be clean, white paper. And we'll talk about in the program a little bit about what should that resume look like. What kind of paper? You don't want any fancy print. So you say, what can make me stand out? If you've made that first cut and you're down to the 20, typos. I can't even tell you how many times people say that they were an operations manger. Not a manager, they were a manger. Because guess what? Spell check is not going to rule out manger. It's a good word. It doesn't work here. And they submit resumes with mistakes, with typos. If you can't spend the time to go through your own resume and the attention to detail, you know what? Could be the greatest person in the world. What? They're a manger. Gone. And it happens. It happens often. So in your resume, it should be clean. It should be presentable. Preferably one page if you're just hoping to get, because they're not going to have time to go through and flip through. And that's a little bit different depending on how you have sourced your resume to the companies. And we'll go into that a little bit. But don't have any typos. Make it clean, attractive. If I can offer you some advice, it's have somebody else look at your resume. You don't want to just say, oh, this looks great, because you know exactly what you've done. Does this say that? No, probably not. But when you're reading it, you said, oh yeah, I was good in that job. And that's what most people give me, are resumes that they know what they did, but really what they've given me is a job description. I was a manager. I managed 50 people. And we took it to such great heights because I was so good. I'm such a skilled and professional manager. They just fill their resumes with flowery words that make them sound really good, but they don't tell me anything. So when we talk about impactful resumes, take the flowery stuff out. Give me results. Tell me what you've done that gives me a compelling reason to say, wow, if she did that for them, we need some people to come in here and do that for us.